Welcome to the Voice Coach Podcast, here for all your speaking voice training and guidance. My name is Nic Redman, and I am offering you all sorts of nuggets of wisdom on how to keep your voice in good working order and a true representation of who you are. So if you're a podcaster, presenter, actor, speaker, or voiceover artist, or a general voice geek, you're in good hands. Shall we get started? Well, hi there. Thanks for coming back. I hope everything is vocally glorious in your world. The summer is coming in if you're in the UK. Maybe it's summer where you are as well. Let me know where in the world you are. But I've been starting to work a lot with folks who are preparing to tour outdoors for the summer in theatre shows, or who are like presenting outdoors for like garden parties and events and things like that. And to be honest, even just normal folks spending more time in the outdoors and getting a little bit vocally tired with the old weather and barbecues and all that kind of stuff and the chit-chat and the crack. Because like our outside voice is different to our inside voice. I mean, I can't be the only person listening who was told, inside voice please, by a caregiver at some stage during growing up. Or maybe I've always just been very vocal and loud. Anyway, let's not reflect on that. What I wanted to offer here are a few tips for looking after your vocal health and your voice maintenance if you're outdoors speaking or performing. Now, I've separated them into two groups. Oh, and thanks, by the way, to Mick Theatre Company for the inspiration for this one. I just did some work with their cast ahead of their theatre tour, so check them out if you fancy a pint in a pub with a play on the side. And you can have crisps as well, of course. Anyway, I've separated these tips into two groups. So you've got 3 tips that are like vocally specific for the voice. And then there's 3 tips that are a wee bit more performance and delivery themed. More about being heard, I suppose, rather than just looking after your voice. So here we go. 3 tips for the voice specifically. I bet you can guess what the first one is. Tip 1, warm up. Doesn't have to take long. You know me, I'm an advocate for getting it done. 5 minutes of moving your body, gentle hums and releasing tension in the jaw, the lips and the tongue will prep your voice nicely for being heard outside. I'd really say also make sure you're getting the body released of tension primarily, and you're really focusing on the resonance and the vibrations in the body. It's also hugely important to release those articulators as well. You'll know why when I do one of the tips coming later in the episode, because so much of being heard outside is about shaping. But it's also really useful when you're outside speaking to focus more on sensation of the voice in the body than sound. So include some lovely resonance work in your warm up, feel those vibrations in the body and check in on how your voice and your vibrations feel in the outside space that you'll be speaking in. And if you need some resonance exercises, check out episodes 26 to 30. There's going to be a lot of that referring back to other episodes, so get your pen at the ready. But just so you know, all the information is in the podcast. It's good, isn't it? Right, tip number 2, stay hydrated. What? What's hydration? Jokes, of course you know what hydration is. But seriously, do stay extra hydrated, especially if it's warm out there. You need to keep your vocal folds lubricated to ensure you don't get vocally tired. And of course, you need to start a few days before to really make it help at vocal fold level. And if you're a hay fever sufferer, hydrate even more just to counteract any medication you may be on, because they can dry things out depending on what it is. And guess what? There's a whole episode on hay fever, episode 28. So head to that one if you do need some guidance there, because I don't know if you can hear from me. I'm a bit of a hay fever sufferer. It's not consistent, but every now and again, it's a pain in the bum. So yeah, I'm a bit stuffily today. Stuffily? Is that a word? I'm a bit snuffly. Let's go with that. All right. Tip 3, cool down afterwards. Our outside voices are different to our inside ones, like I said. So a brief cool down when you're done can really help reset the voice and bring it back down into your habitual day-to-day, slightly more chilled inside voice place. So try a few yawns, some shoulder rolls and some sighing gently down your vocal range into a nice creak quality to finish off like this. Ah, that's a really nice one. I know some of these seem a bit obvious, but it's important to have a reminder, right? Warm up, hydrate, cool down. Okay, on to a few other helpful hints for being heard when speaking outdoors rather than the vocal prep element. Because, look, we can be as loud as we want, but if it's the wrong kind of loud, it'll be unpleasant for both you and the listener. It'll hurt you and it might hurt the listener's ears too, because being heard isn't as simple as just being loud. It's about using our amazing vocal equipment and vocal potential to the best of its ability for minimum effort. So, tip number 1, find your optimum pitch. Now, optimum pitch is where you get the most efficient use of your voice, aka the most volume output for the least vocal effort or input. So the way to explore this is cup your hands over your nose and your mouth and gently glide down your vocal range on like a hum sound. When you get the biggest buzz in your hands, open out into an ah, and then try centering your speaking around this pitch. So this is how you hear me speaking normally. On the microphone, chill, in my environment, happy as Larry. If I slide down to find my optimum pitch, here's what happens. So actually that's where I end up, which feels very peculiarly high and not where I'm sort of used to being. But if I speak on there and then I try and think about using that almost like I'm centering my speech around there, what I get is actually a slightly brighter resonance and more vocal energy, but for almost less effort, or certainly no more effort than I was speaking at down here. And what you find is that optimum pitch is where your resonance has the most acoustic energy, and it's really good for helping things carry through outside spaces. So give that a wee go. Find your buzz and then speak on the buzz and explore the spaces just around the buzz. Right, tip number 2, focus on the sounds. And what I mean by that is make sure you're using the sounds in the words you speak to help your words carry. Are there any punchy plosives you can lean into, like t's and d's and p's and b's, k's and g's? What about those buzzy fricatives? Like, do you have any long vowels maybe to use to bring emphasis to a particular syllable? Use the words and put your energy into those instead of trying to be louder. Don't focus on volume, focus on using the energy in the sounds within the words. And shock horror, there are indeed episodes on this. Remember, quite recently actually, 63 and 64. Right, final tip, watch your alignment, she says, watching her own alignment. It's really easy when you're outside speaking and performing, presenting, to jut your chin forwards when you're trying to reach your audience in an outside space. So you're trying to be louder and push your sound out to them. Resist this urge and instead try leaning back into the body. So plant your feet, release your knees a touch and focus on the stability in the back of the body. Think about that nose gently coming back towards the spine. Think about the shoulder blades dripping down the back. Even try a cheeky little underarm lemon squeeze when you have to get those loud sounds out. I'm not sure I've done underarm lemons yet. Oh my goodness, making a note. I'll do an episode to come back to that. Underarm lemons. Anyway, cough, cough, episode 8 is all about posture, cough. So if you need to review and remind yourself of that postural awareness exercise from the ground up, then just check episode 8. So there we go. Let's recap. Warm up, hydrate, cool down, explore your optimum pitch, use the sounds, and check in on alignment. And of course, have fun. Like, being outside is the best thing ever. I love being outside. I go outside so much in the British summertime. My husband sometimes has to come out and tell me to come in because he's like, love, your hands have gone numb. I just love being in the air. Listen, when I list the tips like that, it feels like a lot. But if you're a regular listener, remember, you'll have worked through all the stages that you need to prepare for each tip. So just go back, have a little review, and make sure you've got everything in there to help. And if you feel a bit overwhelmed or not sure where to start with your warm-ups and stuff, then make sure you join the waitlist for the next run of the Vocal Empowerment Programme, which will be open for registration really soon. We've just finished the first run of that and it's been so good. But anyway, I'll be teaching it again online throughout May and June of this year, and it's not one to miss. If you feel like you need a bit more autonomy and inspiration for your voice care and your speaking prep routine and your warm-ups and your breath and all those underlying fundamentals. So it's really, really great. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to join the waitlist for that. I think that's it for now. I'm off outside for a cup of tea under a blanket. See you very soon. Thanks for listening to the Voice Coach podcast. For even more support with your speaking voice, head on over to our free community, the Voice and Accent Hub on Facebook. See you in there.